So I wanted to talk to you about what is taking place during the eclipse that we're going to go watch. So what's the celestial mechanics that we're going to see? So there's two types of eclipses. One is called a solar eclipse. One is called a lunar eclipse. The one that we are going to see is known as a solar eclipse. Solar eclipses happen during new moon phases. Lunar eclipses happen during full moon phases. So what's happening during a total solar eclipse? And actually, we won't see a total solar eclipse right here. We'll just see a partial solar eclipse, but we will see most of the sun covered up, about 95% of the sun covered up. But during an eclipse, a solar eclipse, what's happening is the moon during its orbit is coming in between the sun and the earth. And when it comes directly between the sun and the earth, and the moon's shadow is able to fall on the earth, then we have an eclipse. That doesn't happen every month. The moon's shadow doesn't happen, even though we have a new moon every month. It doesn't fall on the earth necessarily every month, because the moon's orbit is tilted at an angle. So sometimes it might be too high for the shadow to fall on the earth, or it might be too low for the shadow to fall on the earth. And so on those months we don't have an eclipse. But we do get eclipses a couple times a year when the moon is pretty much just level with part of the earth where the shadow can fall on the earth. So in order to see a total solar eclipse, there's two types of shadows that are cast by the moon. To see a total solar eclipse, you would need to be in this darker shadow called the umbra. So this more pointed, not as wide shadow is called the umbra. If you were standing in that part during the eclipse, then you would see the sun covered up completely, and that's what we call total solar eclipse. The other shadow that it casts is kind of a wider shadow. It's not quite as dark, but it does cover more area, so more people tend to see this type of eclipse. This is a partial solar eclipse. This shadow is called the penumbra. And so if you're in this penumbra shadow, then you might see, you would see part of the sun covered up. And depending on how close you are to the umbra, the more the sun covers up. So like for Webb City, we are pretty close to the umbra, which is going just up by Kansas City. And so we're going to see about 95% of the sun covered up. So that's the general mechanics of what's taking place during a solar